So I would open it in Google Docs and then I would edit it and it would automatically save it, which, by the way, is awesome. That everything is just automatically saved. Like, you always have the most recent version. It's fantastic. Yes. Except that then when you go back to the Google folder and then you open it again, and then you've got now two documents. You've got the original Word document that you uploaded and then the Google Docs document. And so anyway, I guess my point is, how do I not do that in the future?
Well, I have a question for you, and that is, why did you not just create it in Google Docs in the first place?
I don't know.
So that's what I would do.
Force
I would
of
just
habit,
forget.
I guess.
Yes, and I think that's exactly right. I think everybody. I've weaned myself off Microsoft Word. It sounds really funny, but you get so used to going straight to the same software program when you go to do a writing.
You are listening to the Music Ed Mentor podcast, where we teach music educators how to build, manage, and grow thriving school music programs and have long and happy careers. I am your Word document inhibited host today, Elisa Jansen-Jones. You can follow my music education blog at professionalmusiceducator.com. And in a few days, you can meet me virtually at the International Music Education Summit, where I will be teaching about the easiest ways to get funding for your music program. The summit is 100% online, so you can attend from anywhere in the world. And right now, you can get a special discount on your registration by entering the code podcast at checkout. For access to 60 plus professional development hours, it's an amazing value, and I really hope you can attend. Whew, that was a long intro. This episode is full of helpful tips that you'll be able to take right into your classroom and put to use. Unless you're like me and on summer break, in which case you can take them to your home office and put them to use. My guest for this episode is music technology guru and master educator Katie Wardrobe. If you aren't sure where to get started with technology resources in your classroom, your first stop should be Katie's website, midnightmusic.com.au. We have links to her website, Facebook page, and podcast in the show notes, along with the little top tips download for our discussion today, which is all about using the free Google suite of tools. I mean, you've probably used a couple of them before, like maybe Docs or Sheets or Slides, but man, oh man, I don't know about you. I'm always happy to learn new tips and tricks to help me be more efficient, especially when it's using the free tools like Google gives us. I even expose myself as an amateur Google Suite user, for which I am somewhat embarrassed, but hey, you get what you get. I asked Katie the best ways to organize Google Drive, because mine is a mess right now, which of the tools music educators around the world are using the most, and how to mitigate some of my own Google Suite issues so that I too can be more efficient and effective of a teacher. We'll get to all of that and more. But first, this episode could not happen without the support of the fine folks at Smart Music. If you haven't investigated what Smart Music can do for you yet, it's time you do so. Go to YouTube and look at some of their free online training sessions to discover how to implement practice tools, because who wouldn't love to be done with practice reports forever? From professional recordings for ensemble practice to exercises and drills you can use right in your classroom today, Smart Music can completely alter the way that you educate in a good way. Now, without further ado, here is my chat with Katie.
Hello, I'm Katie Wardrobe. I'm from midnightmusic.com.au in Australia, and it's an early morning here, but I'm really happy to be talking to Elisa, and I do professional development training for music teachers in how to use technology in education, and it's lots of fun.
You do awesome stuff. You help so many people. It's great.
Yeah, it's been just great. I love the connection that you can get over, with people from other countries overseas because of the online world that we live in nowadays. And it still kind of blows my mind. So I really, really love that.
Yeah, I love seeing the similarities and yet the differences. wherever we are, like we were just talking about how the day we're recording this, I just finished school, but school there is still going for a bit, huh?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, we're in the middle of our year, not even quite the middle yet. So, yeah, we're still going and we go right through. We basically work on a calendar year, so it's really different. And the biggest difference also for me is the emphasis in the States on band, orchestra, choir, which we just don't have here. And a lot of our teachers are quite jealous that band, orchestra, choir rehearsals are scheduled as part of the day, the school day. And that doesn't happen here at all. It's all general music would be the closest thing that I could describe it to. And all of those other things are extracurricular activities. So it's so different, the programs. But yeah, great to hear how everybody works it out.
That's really, I had no idea that you didn't have ensembles as part of the school day. So they're all extracurricular.
No. It's all extracurricular. So our music teachers work quite hard. Most of them schedule rehearsals before school, lunchtimes, and after school to get things done.
Well,
I'm always amazed. Yeah.
If it makes you feel any better, some of us still do that too. I'm going to be starting the before school choir because we just don't have room in my small school schedule to make that happen during the day. Yeah. So. All right. Well, we are talking all about the Google suite of tools today in this relatively short episode because we really want it to be high value in a short period of time. And part of why I wanted to bring Katie on for this is because of my own recent experience. Now, I use Dropbox mainly as a backup on my own computer. Everything is automatically backed up on the web, and anybody who has ever lost a hard drive worth of material knows how important a backup is. So that's what I use Dropbox for. And I've tried to share files via Dropbox, but I find it's not quite as successful as using like a Google Drive. And then I found that a lot of the clients and people I was working with online also used Google Drive. So that was kind of how I started in the whole Google suite, was Google Drive. And then my school started using Planbook, which is also available in the Google suite. I think it's an extra fee kind of thing, but I used that for lesson planning, which was great because my principal could just access it and see exactly what I was doing, and I could copy and paste. And then I started using Google Documents and then Google Sheets, and I just loved that I could access them so quickly all from my Google Drive. But I had some problems, and we're going to get into that. But I have used it really exclusively the last 3 or 4 months. And so I just was thinking, what else could I possibly, what am I missing here, right? Because I'm just a lay person, just hopping in. So bringing you on to talk me through all the options and how to mitigate, the risk of issues that we might have as music teachers. So why don't we just start with what is so awesome about Google Suite?
Oh, wow. I feel like I beat you by a long mile. I jumped on it quite early, and started using it in around 2006 myself because it wasn't actually me. It was a friend I was working with. I was working at Sibelius at the time, and we had staff members in different states around Australia. So there was 3 or 4 different states that we covered. And when it first came out, my friend James said, we've got to use this when we're having our online meetings. So we'd have a Skype meeting with everybody. And we found that we could open up a Google document, and because it's online, everybody could access it at the same time. And so this became the big thing. It was more about the fact that we could collaborate within the same document. And so we would have our meeting minutes in there and somebody would take notes, but inevitably someone else would jump in and as a joke, write, James is a poo or something silly like that in the document while we were having the meeting. It's like, okay, guys, come on, let's focus here. But it was just fantastic because we could all access the same document from different places and edit, but it's not like editing where you pass a Word document around and who's got the latest version. That was always the issue. Who's got the latest version? This just negates that completely because you just log in and you can see people working in there. You can see them typing as you're watching. And so that was really mind-blowing at the time. So I started using it then. And really, since then, for me, also it's the accessibility, like you said, of being able to access your documents wherever you are. I can access things on my phone and my iPad and my laptop as I do. And it doesn't matter which laptop I'm on. If I borrow someone else's, I can still log into my own Google suite of products and access everything anywhere. So that's kind of the main benefit up front. But over time, I've realized there's lots of other things that I might give you a few tips along the way of the ways I'm using it, because there's just so much to it when you get started. And I think it's quite underutilized by a number of teachers out there, and it could be really, really useful.
So we have documents and we have slides, Google Slides for online presentations.
Yes.
I use that for rehearsing, actually. Like I'll type up rehearsal notes or even instructions at the beginning of class, actually, in a Google Slide. And that's really handy. And then there's Google Sheets, which is kind of like Excel.
Mm-hmm.
And not as robust as Excel and doesn't do a lot of the same things, but is a great data form. What am I missing?
Forms is a fantastic one, and I think that's very underused by a lot of people. So you can set up a simple form it doesn't even have to be simple, but a form to grab some information from people. And the beauty of that is that it links directly to a spreadsheet, so that as soon as someone's filled out your form, you can open up a spreadsheet and see everything in the one place, which I absolutely love. So you can read down a column of the same answer for question 1 down the column, rather than having to look up different sort of answer sheets or worksheets if it was you're doing it with students. And I just love that. It's been brilliant.
Yeah, I just used that actually for a end of school band survey. I sent it out to all the band kids and just asked a few questions like, what did you enjoy about band this year? What do you hope to see next year? What was your favorite song? What was your favorite memory? Yeah, and the fact you can just pull it up like that. I also use it for my summer band registration and for scholarship applications. And just everything. I can't believe I didn't remember Google Forms right off the bat, because that's actually the one I probably use the most.
Yeah, and I think more people should have a go at it, because it's super simple. Over the years, it's become more and more easy to use. And when you log in, I mean, it basically, if you've never set up a form ever before, it kind of walks you through the steps, even if you were to not worry about reading a how-to document or watching video. And it just kind of tells you what next, and you add a question, and it's super simple. And then you can get a bit ninja if you want to, and do some special things where if someone answers one way, it will do something in the form, and then if they answer another way, it will do something else. So I love forms, but gathering data like that is fantastic from students, just to give them a link to this form. Everybody goes there. All you need to grab is their name, maybe their email address, and then they answer a question, maybe not even that. And it's all there just in one place for you. Fantastic.
So as teachers, we can use it as in lieu of registration forms. We can use it as testing and written assessments and stuff like that. They can actually upload files into a form so that you can see pictures or videos. So somebody could actually write out a piece of music and take a photo of it and upload it into the form as part of an assessment.
And you as the teacher could set up a question where actually there's a video that they have to watch and then respond to that as well. So it can kind of work both ways, or have an image in there that they need to do something to. So like a notation image, and then they need to write down the answer about that question. Yes, fantastic.
I'm glad you reminded me about the conditional response thing. If they answer one way, then they go one way. I actually have a tool on my website called the Funding Solutions Finder tool that is that exact way, where they answer depending on the series of questions that they answer. They are taken to a video that answers their biggest problem. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, I did it like 2 years ago, so I should probably update it.
Could go back and have a look. Yeah,
but the possibilities are absolutely endless. I don't know why, not to bash any other options online, but why would anybody use what's that monkey survey? What is it? It's SurveyMonkey.
Oh, SurveyMonkey. Yep.
Yeah.
I think there's maybe a few more ninja things involved with that if you really want to get stuck into, detailed forms and stuff. But for me, most teachers don't need that anyway. So this is why I'm always, and you know what you said about the spreadsheets in Google Drive versus Excel. it doesn't worry me that it's not as fully featured as Excel, because I don't need that anyway in my everyday life. I just want to gather data usually, and do some basic formulations in there. So it works, totally fine. And with forms, another thing that I know a number of teachers are using it for is to gather feedback on kind of like listening. So, if you have your students listen to a piece of music and you need them to respond in some way, getting them to just put that data into the form is fantastic, and you've got it all there, just sitting there. Yeah, and you can read all the answers at the same time. Fantastic.
What about Google Classroom? Now, I haven't used Google Classroom, but I'm thinking about using it next year. In your experience, how are teachers using it?
Yeah, I think Google Classroom is really fantastic. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to play with it myself because I'm not at a school and I don't have access to it. And I've kind of tried to get access through my business account, but it's not letting me. But I have an understanding of how it works and what people are using for. But it's a fantastic way to kind of work in your own ecosystem, I suppose, within Google Drive. So one of the struggles lots of teachers have is to get things out to students and get things back from students, and using Google Drive can kind of handle all that. Classroom, I should say, not Drive. So there's an ecosystem there where you can set an assignment for a student and also gather it back again as well, and you've got all the products at your disposal too. So that we talked about docs and sheets and so on. So I think it's a more streamlined way to handle all your stuff, and it's kind of like a learning management system, I suppose, in the end. And yeah, I'd love to get my hands on access to it so that I can have a play too. Because lots of teachers ask me, okay, what do I do in this scenario? And I'm like, I need to just double check for you.
I'll tell you what, when I get it and get mine set up, we can walk through, we can do like a little screen share. And we can figure it out. Yeah, because I would love that. It'd be so fun.
I've just thought of one other thing that we've forgotten to mention as well. It's part of the suite, and I think this is another thing that lots of teachers could take advantage of is the ability to. Did we mention sites to set up your own website essentially?
No, we didn't. Yeah.
So another fantastic thing, and I think probably in teachers' minds is that whole, oh my gosh, setting up a whole website seems like a massive project, like ridiculous. But doing it through the Google Suite or Classroom, whichever one you're using, is just really quite easy. And it's a great way either to have your own little website, which is perhaps for your music department, or some teachers do it for a single music class. So they might have the music technology class, which is, for the secondary students, and they use it as a way to disseminate assignments and other things on there, and they can have videos that the kids need to watch and talk about the different projects they're going to work on during the year, and even then share examples of student work on there. And it can kind of go the other way, where a student could actually create their own website as a place to upload and share a lot of their work that they've been doing throughout the school year, and it can kind of be like a digital portfolio, a showcase of sorts. So
yeah, I love that
idea too.
I love the extension opportunities for advanced students to create their own online portfolio. I think that's genius.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic, and it's all there. So if you're using Google Classroom at your school, you'd be sort of silly not to use that as the option to do things like websites there. It's just great. I think you can embed video on there and audio files, provided the audio file lives online somewhere. So so it works really well.
Right. It's got to be hosted by someone else.
Correct. Nice. Yes.
Which, for those of you lay people, is like Vimeo or YouTube. Is there another one? Those are the two big ones.
For audio, if it was audio only, you might have it on SoundCloud, which is a good option, which is like YouTube, but for just audio files instead of video. Yeah, so yes, Vimeo and YouTube are the two that I use mostly.
Yeah, me as well. So what are some problems that music educators are having? I will tell you one of the problems that I had is in my laptop. And by the way, I have loved, because I have two laptops. I have my personal laptop, which my entire life is on. And then I have my school laptop, which doesn't have as much storage or robust capacity. And so that's why I've really been using Google Drive instead of Dropbox, because I don't want all of my personal Dropbox stuff up on my school computer. So anyway, I just want to throw that out there. Okay, so here's the problem that I was having. I would create a file in Microsoft Word, and then I would upload it into my Google Drive, right? And then I would go to open it in Google Drive, and it would say, how do you want to open this? And I would go, well, I want to open it, I guess, as a Google Docs, right? Because that's kind of the first option and the easiest way to do it. So I would open it in Google Docs, and then I would edit it, and it would automatically save it, which, by the way, is awesome. That everything is just automatically saved. Like, you always have the most recent version. It's fantastic. Yes. Except that then when you go back to the Google folder and then you open it again, and then you've got now two documents. You've got the original Word document that you uploaded, and then the Google Docs document. And so anyway, I guess my point is, how do I not do that in the future?
Well, I have a question for you, and that is, why did you not just create it in Google Docs in the first place?
I don't know.
So that's what I would do.
Force
I would
of
just
habit,
forget.
I guess.
Yes, and I think that's exactly right. I think everybody. I've weaned myself off Microsoft Word. It sounds really funny, but you get so used to going straight to the same software program when you go to do a writing thing. So you would open up Word, and for me, I was using Pages on my Mac. Same thing, whatever. And it's local. It doesn't save to the cloud in the same way that Google Docs does. So I had to wean myself off doing that. I go straight to Drive, I start a new document, and I just do it in there because it really does nearly everything that I need it to do. And most of the time I don't need to do a lot of fancy stuff in my Word documents or in my Google Drive, Docs document. And I create it straight in there. But if I had been in that situation of uploading a Word document, opening it in Docs and then editing, I would immediately delete the Word document, the original one, because then you're only ever working in the interactive latest copy one.
Yeah.
Which is in Docs.
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't think of that.
I'm going to train you out of that.
Well, and then here's the other thing, like my Dropbox, if I were to show you my and I should do a screen share and show you my Dropbox because of how well organized it is. Like, I'm really proud.
I love organizing. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and like I have it set up so that whenever I download something off the internet, it prompts me to save it to a file. And so that way I just keep everything super organized. Which is how I can, function. But my Google Drive is not organized at all, and I can't quite figure out. And so I think that's going to be one of my commitments for this summer, is to really get
such
that
a good
organized.
Summer project. Yeah. I have to say, I'd love to talk about organisation stuff with that, because I find I've found out sort of ways to get around a few issues. But just on that topic, going back, of other problems that people have frequently with Google Docs or even Sheets, and I must mention this, is that frequently the permissions is an issue. So if you want to share your document with someone else, the first thing that people find that they come up with is they share it with someone and the other person opens it up and they're like, oh, I don't have permission to open that file. And the thing that I found I needed to do is to get into a really good habit of, every time I'm about to send a link to someone else for a Google Doc, I would make sure I go into the permissions and set it properly. So you sort of head into that share area, and you actually need to click on a little advanced link. It's a little bit hidden, I find. I wish it was a bit more obvious for people. And then just say, yes, anyone with the link can actually view and edit this document, or there's a couple of other options in there, so you just choose the most appropriate one. But that's an issue. And the other thing I found as well is, sometimes I want to share a document with someone, but I don't want them to edit it. I don't want them to actually do that. I want them to be able to see it, and maybe I'm happy for them to make a copy of it, but I don't want them to edit it. And you can do that. You can send it to someone and make it a view-only document. But when you do it that way, it's a little bit annoying, because people can see it's a view-only document, and if they try to edit it, Google Docs says to them, hey, you need to ask permission to edit this document of the person who owns it. And so then the person emails you and you're like, actually don't want them to do that. They need to go into the file menu and choose make a copy, so that they can keep that document and then do something with it. But I discovered this little great tip, which has been life-changing for me, which is there is a way that you can send someone a link to your Google document and actually change a little bit of the URL, the address of that document. And when they open it up, when you've made this change, it actually says, before they even can see the document, it says, hey, this document's from Katie. do you want to make a copy? It automatically pops up with this window which says you need to make a copy before they can even edit the whole thing. So I love this.
I need that
I can tell
code.
visually, Elisa. Yeah.
I need that code.
It's so simple, and all you have to do is, when you're viewing a Google document, it's got a really long URL, and it ends with /edit at the end of it. And all you need to do is delete the word edit and change it to copy. And then when you send it to someone, you can test this out yourself. You can send it to someone and you open it up and it just says automatically, do you want to make a copy of this document? And it's been so great.
It is that simple. Are you kidding me?
No, it's that simple. It's so good.
That is, I'm sorry, that is mind-blowing for somebody like us who give out so many freebies.
I know. I love it.
That is amazing.
I actually wrote that down to say today because I thought, oh my God, that was life-changing for me, because then it stopped all these people emailing. Because I actually share maybe a document on my website, and then, it'll go out in my newsletter, and there might be, a few hundred people wanting to access it, and to get everybody saying, hey, can I, access that document? No, you need to make a copy, go to file, make a copy. I mean, that's possible, but it's just an extra thing that you don't have to worry about.
No, that is so cool. So let's go back for just a second to organizing. So
yes, organizing. I love the organizing bit. Oh my gosh.
So how if I'm going to set it up? Okay, right now it's a mess. It's a mess. I have files, I have folders, I have just a mess. How would you recommend I either start over or start from scratch to get it organized?
I love, the thing that I love the most for organization, and there's a couple of things I'd probably do, but the one I love the most is using naming conventions at the start of folder names, or even document names sometimes too. So I've been in the habit of doing this in my business now for a couple of years, and it's kind of revolutionized things. And it's we use naming conventions everywhere across the business. So for instance, with your school, let's say within your drive, you've got some school stuff and you've got some things for your band or things for your orchestra, and then you've got some documents which are for home, and then you've got some, what other things might there be? You could break it down into, repertoire for ensembles and that type of thing. So I would come up with a little key of maybe 3 or 4 letter codes that you understand and that are really easy for you to remember. Nothing complex here. So for instance, in my business, anything that's administration related has a code at the beginning of the folder name, which is admin. So it's just ADMIN, and we put it in all caps. And then after that word is more information about what that folder is. So it might be admin banking or admin customer support or admin, something else. So the great thing about this is that when you view your folders, then all of the things that are related to one another appear in order, and they're, what do you call it? Grouped together. That's the word, grouped together. So we've used this across the board in the business, and it comes down to, even in my database, we can see groups of people that might be in the database of different types, and we have a little, basically a 3-letter code of some sort. We call it a code, but a naming convention at the beginning of the folder, and it's just such a great way to work. Sometimes in documents as well, I'll start it off with, if I'm writing blog posts, for instance, the document always starts with blog post and then the name of the blog post after that. And then when you see them all in the folder, they're all grouped together, and it's just really easy to find things. So that's probably one of the tips you could start with. So I'd maybe think of the different categories, and you could have an overarching bucket folder, which is just admin, and then inside that are all the subfolders which start off admin but have other things in them. And then I find that's really useful in Drive, because sometimes you're inside a folder. The thing I struggled with when I first started using the suite of products is, it's kind of not like when you see all your folders in, I don't know, it's hard to describe it. It's sometimes hard to tell what folder you're working within. If you've got a document open, where is that saved? You can click on a little folder icon next to the title and see it in there, but you've kind of got to dig a little bit. So naming conventions works really well for me.
Now that's awesome. I use, in my Dropbox, I use numbers, actually.
Yeah, and numbers. I had that written down too. I have numbers as well, and I use them a little bit. I sort of had naming conventions down as one of my big tips, but I have numbers too, and basically do that because then again things appear in the order that you want them to, and you're used to kind of jumping towards things. So in Dropbox, I have a lot of numbers going on, and I particularly use zeros and ones to get the things to the top that I want to see. And can I tell you the revolutionary thing that I did a couple of years ago?
Yes.
This is another change my life thing, and it's such a stupid little thing.
Okay, I'm writing it down. Go.
You know, when you're on, because I have work across multiple devices like my phone and my iPad and my laptop, I am often sending something from one app to another. So you might be on your phone and you export something from an app, and it could even be like a music type file from a music app. And then you have an option in that app to export it to Dropbox or export it to Google Drive, and it's great. You go, awesome, I'm going to do that. Or maybe I've scanned a document with my scanning app, and then I'm going to save it into Drive or Dropbox. And you'd save it there, and then I'd go to Dropbox and I'd be like, oh my gosh, what did I call that file? Like, where is it in the massive list of Dropbox files and folders or Google Drive, And what I did was I set up a folder which has a number 0 at the beginning of it, 0 and the word portal. And it's my portal folder. So it's the thing that appears top in the list at all times. So no matter what app I'm in or what I'm doing, as soon as I need to save something into Drive or Dropbox, I save it into the portal folder as the first step. And when I go to my laptop and go and look in this folder, it's only a small amount of things in there because, it's just got the latest things that I've downloaded or saved. And it's just in there. I can grab it and then I can put it where it really needs to go rather than having to search through everything when I'm doing the export in the first place. So that has been so life-changing for me. The portal folder saves me every time. I can always find what I'm doing. That's great. It's great.
That is awesome.
So silly.
So you're basically using it as a pre-sort. So you drop everything in there before you sort it.
Yeah, I have in my head. I think it's Harry Potter or something where they have, like a portal thing that they can go through into another world or another area or whatever. That's what I have in my head. It's this little portal folder. So one thing goes into there and then you move it to somewhere else, and it's just great. And the other thing that I use a lot is in Google Drive is the ability to change colors of folders. Because it just makes me, I have a little bit of an obsession with color, and so I really like my things to look pretty. And so I color code folders too. So you could use naming conventions in conjunction with color coding, or you could just use color coding and numbering or whatever it is. And the other thing I use frequently in Drive is the option to star. You can favorite certain folders. So the one thing that you use all the time, you can just click a little star and it will appear in your favorites list, and it's easier to find there. So
right, like if all of your resources for an upcoming performance are all in there, and then once the performance is over and you don't need that anymore. Yeah. Yes. Oh, that's genius.
Yeah.
I'm so glad to have you on. I realize that our podcast listeners are going to appreciate this, but not as much as I am appreciating it. Okay. So well, let's wrap it up because we wanted to keep this one kind of short and powerful. But what are we missing? What other tips do you have for us?
All right, I've got one more, and this is something that I've just been doing again really recently, and this is another thing that's revolutionized me in my life for my organization. And Google suite of the Google suite is perfect for doing this, and that's to create a training spreadsheet or instruction spreadsheet for yourself. And you could do this with any area of your life. So this is for me to get around that thing. I hate it when I'm not productive because I can't remember how to do something. I might have done something 10 times in the past and then not done it for 6 months, and I can't remember how to do that thing now. And it might be something stupid like I need to go and scan the music and I can't remember what settings on the scanner to use, or just anything really small. So what I've been doing is setting up a plain Google document with the list of instructions. It's step 1, step 2, step 3. And then I will have a spreadsheet, which kind of goes alongside this separate thing. And in there is a list of all the instructions that I've got for all the different things. And in one of the columns is a link to the document that I've set up. So in the spreadsheet, when you look at it, it'll say how to scan music for XYZ. And in the next column, there'll be a link to the Google document, and I can click on that. It opens up the document and shows me the instructions. So in my business, we have a massive training spreadsheet, which has just grown over time. And it's things like how to add someone to the newsletter list if you need to do it manually. You can click through and read the instructions, how to delete someone from the newsletter, how to help someone with their subscription, access to the community. All of those things are in there, and anybody at any time can go in there and find out how to do something. So even if you've never done it yourself before, if the instructions are written down for you, so much easier to do. And it's a great way to start delegating things to other people. So if you, in your department, if you've got people maybe that you want to pass off a task to, then you could just send them to the spreadsheet and say, hey, there's instructions in here on how to do this job. Why don't you have a go and just let me know if there's anything missing from the instructions? And then you've delegated really quickly, and it's great.
I love that. Yeah. I'm thinking music library, right?
Yes, music library is great. Even, do you know what I would do? One of the things I did set up as an example in a workshop is not instructions, lists of repertoire for different types of concerts. So you might have a Christmas concert list, and you might have an Easter concert list, and the grandparents' day, list of songs. All of those things could be in separate Word documents, and then the spreadsheet might gather that all together, and it would just say Christmas music, and then the link in the next column to the document where you can see it all. And
awesome.
There's so many ways you can use that concept, and it's just been fabulous. I have it at home. I'm using it for commonly used recipes that I just need to kind of double check on. So I have a list of, all the meals that we eat all the time.
I love it. An online recipe book.
The recipe. Yeah, that's it. Because I keep looking for things in all the books that I've got, and I'm like, which book was that recipe in? You can just scan it and stick it as a link in your Google document, or, anything. There's so many ways you can do this. So
wow.
Someone else had told me about this concept a while ago, and it's just been fabulous. The more I do it, the more I'm setting up more and more of these instructional spreadsheets.
I love it. I love it. Well, I'm super, super glad that we were able to cover this. I think the tips are just so valuable, and I'm going to make excellent use of them myself.
Good, yeah. Summer is a great time to do all this stuff. Just get it all set up.
Seriously. So how do we learn more if we want to learn more? I know you've got your podcast, and
yes,
tell us about you have an online group. I don't know how to explain it.
Online community. So I have a couple of things. So there's a lot of free stuff on my website. There's blog posts, and the podcast itself, of course, is free too. So that's called the Music Tech Teacher, and lots of information there. But in addition to that, I have a paid online subscription area for teachers that want to do training in music technology related things. So there's lots of lesson plans in there. Tips about productivity has been really popular lately. So I have a lot of training courses which are video based, and you can download resources to go with them. But we have a discussion area too, which is great. And people just ask questions. We have a policy of there is no question too dumb. So it's encouraged that you just ask it whatever it is, because I can guarantee someone else has got the same question. And we have this online forum area where people will answer. And yeah, it's lots of fun. I really love it. But information about that on the website too. So if you just go to midnightmusic.com.au, everything's pretty much there.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Katie, for your time. Thank you for all these amazing tips. And now everybody listening gets to go and start using Google Drive like a master.
Yes, do it.
Or at least to make your life a little more efficient and access what you need from wherever you are.
Fantastic. Sounds good.
Awesome.
I know there is probably even more great stuff out there about Google Suite tools, and you can learn them at midnightmusic.com.au, and Katie will teach you what you need to know. With that, I just want to remind you to join me and more than 25 other presenters from around the world for the 2018 International Music Education Summit coming just next week. Register today by going to musicedsummit.org/register. That's musicedsummit.org/register. And remember to enter the code podcast to claim your discount. And what would this podcast be without smart music? If you're looking for another fabulous tool to improve your teaching craft, check out Smart Music today. Find them on YouTube and just watch what this affordable software solution can do to streamline your teaching and activate your students to practice. Sign up for your account at smartmusic.com. I also went ahead and compiled the top 5 tips from this episode, and they are ready for you to download at smartmusic.com/blog. Just search for episode 25. Or you can find a link to the show notes on my website as well, professionalmusiceducator.com/podcast. Until next time, my friends, keep teaching on.